Big changes are coming to the Oakland Coliseum this year, with the A's set to take the field for their final home game next week.
I know, yeah. But today we're taking a look back at the moment the first crowd filled the stands at the Coliseum for a different Bay Area team. It happened 58 years ago on this day in the Bay.
That's KRON4 archive footage from 1966 of the historic matchup between the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. It was the first time that any team had played at the then brand new Oakland Alameda County Coliseum.
Yeah, the Raiders had been playing at a field near Lake Merritt that only seated 22,000 people. And at this game, there were 50,000. Take a listen to what some fangoers had to say.
What do you think of the new stadium?
I think it's tremendous.
How about you? What do you think?
Very nice. Beautiful.
Beautiful. This is one of the best stadiums there is in the damn country around here, as far as I'm concerned.
It's tremendous. You've got to be the greatest thing for Oakland's ever done.
Wow. Well,
I just like hearing how they talk,
right?
how they look. Look at the balloons.
It's like a time capsule.
The outfits.
2 years later, by the way, in 1968, the A's would move from Kansas City to Oakland and share that Coliseum with the Raiders. The first A's game at the Oakland Coliseum was in April of 1968.
As one Berkeley mother put it this morning, I think it's going to be a wonderful experience for the children. I only wish that I had the same opportunity when I was young.
On this day in 1968, KRON4 reporter Ed Hart visited Oxford Elementary School in Berkeley when African American and white students came together in the classroom for the very first time. So on this day in the Bay, Berkeley became the first major American city to achieve total integration of all of its public schools through a two-way busing plan. And KRON4's Ed Hart spoke with the school's principal, who called the first day successful and exciting, especially for the children.
Children were very excited and happy. Just a great day.
What about some of the youngsters that were here last year, and this is kind of a new experience for them? How are they taking it?
Well, we found these children meeting the new children, playing on the play field and playing ball before we even met them. So I think it was just, you know, as perfect as it could be.
In Berkeley, black children were bused to predominantly white schools, and white children were added to schools that had been mostly black. And when this news feature first aired in 1968, 40% of the students at Oxford Elementary were African American, and that public school is still open today.
Taking a look back in our archives, 54 years ago, families from around the Bay Area came out to Golden Gate Park to see Big Bird making his off-screen debut. San Francisco, the first stop on Sesame Street's first cast tour. This was 1970. What an audience. More than 15,000 people showed up to see this.
We're taking a look back into the archives this afternoon at KRON4 News footage from 1975 when police officers in San Francisco went on strike over a pay dispute. More than 90% of the city's police force went to the picket lines, refusing to go back to work, even after officials declared the strike illegal. KRON4 spoke with community members about this strike 49 years ago today.
I don't think they should strike because it is a matter of public safety. And
I think the police are entitled to what they're asking for. They're risking their lives all the time and taking care of the people in the city of San Francisco.
The police are asking for a lot of money, and my sympathy is not with them.
After 4 days, the city did agree to the police demands, ending the strike and marking a major victory for San Francisco police officers. Now, to this day in the Bay, it was founded as the Museum of the People with the goal of representing one of the more diverse cities in the country. But when the Oakland Museum of California first opened its doors in 1969, some community members felt they were left out of the narrative. 55 years ago today, on this day in the Bay, Oaklanders protested the museum's entirely white leadership over alleged racism. Museum leaders had fired a director who tried to form a community relations council to make sure that all cultures had a say in museum operations. The move prompted weeks of protests and picket lines, and KRON4 video here from 1969 shows community members voicing their concerns at a museum council meeting.
We're not satisfied with your position at this particular time. I
And so I think that, you know, like all the other stuff that you have on the agenda, the movie agenda at this particular time might be irrelevant.
When the museum opened its doors in 1969, protests to free Black Panther Party founder Huey Newton were also in full swing, with many taking place at the Alameda County Courthouse right across the street. Exhibits on these cultural movements and others are on display at the Oakland Museum of California today.
I guess if you want to be a big star, there's one way to know if you've really arrived. That's when Ron Galella tries to take your picture. But as far as knowing how Jackie Kennedy feels, I'm sure this is as close as I'll ever get.
We're taking a look back in our archives this afternoon at a KRON-4 report that aired on this day in 1974. Janine Yeoman was posing for a controversial American paparazzo, Ron Galella. He is remembered for relentlessly pursuing celebrities and doing almost whatever it takes to get the best shot.
Being a paparazzo, you don't have to be Italian, but you have to have chutzpah and guts. I don't believe I'm invading their privacy.
Galella is known in particular for taking pictures of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis until a judge stopped him from being able to take her picture. During his nearly 6-decade career, he amassed the world's largest single-source collection of pop culture photographs.
California cuisine had humble beginnings in an old house on Shattuck Avenue. It was all started by a young woman who taught at a Montessori school during the day and cooked for her friends at night.
Today, this is recognized as one of the first restaurants to serve up California cuisine. 53 years ago, Berkeley restaurant Chez Panisse prepared to welcome its first round of guests for a 4-course farm-to-table meal. And Chez Panisse was founded by Alice Waters in 1971, and she spoke then with KRON4 a few years after the restaurant opened.
We were cooking like we were eating at home. I mean, cooking and eating at home. And that's really how we ran this place for 10 years.
When Chez Panisse made its debut, a 4-course meal cost about $4. Today, a 4-course meal there is about $200. 60 years ago today, the United States, the UK, and the Soviet Union agreed to refrain from testing nuclear weapons on land and underwater. It was just a year prior that a group of Bay Area activists set sail out on the Pacific in protest of that testing, and KRON4 was there.
We're going to head right straight from San Francisco into the testing area directly, no stops in between.
So Project Everyman was a 3-person crew that intended to sail from San Francisco in the Bay there to Christmas Island, that's off the coast of Australia. And KRON4 interviewed the men ahead of their first and only voyage.
This is one of the main reasons for a project such as Everyman. When 3 men confront the vast inhumanity of nuclear testing, it becomes real to the majority of people what nuclear testing is.
The crew sailed out to the Golden Gate Bridge in 1962. Then they were stopped and arrested by the U.S. Coast Guard. Then the United States signed the minted Test Ban Treaty 1 year later, banning nuclear weapons tests in the atmosphere, outer space, and underwater. Some cool footage there to show you this afternoon. I mean, I really wish I had been there. This was 35 years ago today, and this was the place to be as we take a look back into the KRON4 archives this afternoon. This is Studio 47 nightclub in San Jose, and Wednesday through Saturday, people under 21 were invited to come inside and dance. KRON4 spoke with teenagers there on this day in the Bay, so we're going to hear what they had to say from this archive video. This is from 1989.
What's unique about San Jose style that you can see here at Studio 47?
The hair.
The hair. Yeah, the hair. It's just, what kind of hair? Tell me about this hair.
Yes, this report was for a KRON4 segment that was made for young adults called Home Turf. It focused on everything from hip-hop and graffiti art to current events and politics. Look at those moves and the outfits, the lights. I mean, they were having a good time.
It's some serious.
Oh, look at that haircut, Kyla.
Yeah, I'm seeing so many haircuts that are getting my attention, and the moves. These people had moves.
good.
I hope that some of those people still live in the Bay Area, and I hope someone sees them and recognizes them and says, "You got to see what we just saw in KRON 4 because you were dancing it up."